Today marks 1667 day of daily lessons, day reflections. And today I speak about forgiveness. And I was thinking that after forgiveness, like majority of things has stages that you need to go through to really actually when you truly say that you've forgiven. Because sometimes I used to believe, and I think that the majority of people believe, is that forgiveness is just letting go. And that's what I used to believe. But when I start to really reflect on forgiveness and what you're supposed to go through before you actually fully forgive, there are stages. Today we'll share those stages. I have 10 of those, but most are just in between stages. I think that the first four stages are the most important, and other ones are just additional and supportive. But yeah, listening those first four will be the most important. And after that, we'll discuss a little bit more what we potentially could do after we forgive. So number one is that in forgiveness is admitting the injury. It's interesting that sometimes a person needs forgiveness, but if we didn't accept that they actually did us wrong, we will not work to forgive that person because we don't know that they have injured us. It's an interesting thing because I have experience when I have been mistreated, and because I know their backstory, I used to make excuses for them. But that's a terrible thing because that's enables that person to do terrible things in the future again. Because people need to realize that when you mistreat people, it doesn't matter what you have experienced in the past. That doesn't give you permission to really mistreat other people or disrespect people, because everything has consequences. So the first thing that we need to really learn about forgiveness is sometimes accept the injury. Sometimes accept the injury is in the level that actually injures. Sometimes we believe that something was wrong, but it actually in a level that it happened, because sometimes we minimize. And when we minimize the injury, we suppress the injury. And because if we suppress it, then we actually not able to forgive full extent because half or even more is suppressed. Number two, feeling the impact honestly. And it's interesting, this is not intellectualized. This is just not about what you think about. First, it's more about thinking and understanding and what exactly happened. Now, this one is all about admitting the maybe lost years, maybe the emotions that you went through, all the things that really made you feel, all the maybe regrets created because of it. So I mean, we need to really feel it, because it's very very hard to really forgive when you are in a numb state regarding the injury, regarding the thing that you need to forgive. Number three, now when you really know that you accept the injury and really you look into that honestly impact that's caused by an injury, and now we'll be able to really work on the third one is for forgiving the person. And again, this is not for making excuses for that person at what they did. And I really love that I learned that forgiveness is not about other person. Forgiveness is letting go other person and not being attached for that person, because you're able to forgive and forget. Interesting that is forgive but not forget, because you need to understand that there will a lesson out of it, because it might be that there is 20, 40, 50, maybe 70% of your fault that it happened, because maybe you ignore the red flags, maybe there's something else that you missed, and because we miss some certain things, it might be that there was no fault whatsoever. There is a lot of things that it was zero fault. It could be, even though that I think it's very rare that it's a 0%. It's 5, 10%, and be able to look into what was that we were at fault as well. But now, like, the third one is forgiving other person, because that is, like, probably I've heard 1,000 times, and I truly believe this is true. Is that if you not forgive, it's like drinking poison and expecting that other person will die because of it. That's is nonsense. Number four, and this is the most important step, is forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself. Because when you really after forgiving the other person and started to see the signs that what was our own fault in that, now we potentially really start to blame ourselves, shame ourselves for all the years wasted, all the things that we didn't do, all the things that we accepted, all the things that we tolerated, all the things that we potentially said I already saw earlier and I waited for a year or 2 years or a month, it doesn't matter how long, but you potentially could start to blame yourself. You start to see that, okay, maybe you betrayed your own standards. You you really didn't do what's right in that moment. And again, that's the moment when you really need to forgive, because it's interesting because I also said, oh, I forgive that person. I don't think about that person. Yeah, that's totally fine, but the forgiveness doesn't stop there when you forgive other person. Forgiveness finishes when you're actually working on forgiving yourself. And it's not easy. It's not easy to forgive self. I think that to forgive someone else is easier than forgiving yourself. And then I think that when you really actually forgive yourself, and this stage could take long. It could take long until you start to really trust yourself. Because if you don't forgive yourself, it's hard to really build courage, build confidence, build self trust. All the things is harder to build when you really are really carrying with yourself blame and shame in yourself regarding the mistakes that you did. And that's why it's extremely important to forgive yourself. Now, but number five, and an interesting thing that the next one is that again, this is moving to the optional things that and additional things that we potentially need to forgive is forgiving reality. Forgiving reality is that like for example is that if you met a person that really caused that damage, now you're thinking about why you need to meet that person. Now you're thinking about the all the criteria, all the things that potentially happened, why it happened for me, why I was not able to find another person who was great, looking to so many great couples living a life with a certain way, or and now you chose the wrong way. Now you potentially could really say that forgiving reality that is actually reality, that's what it is. It's given that you will make mistakes, and every single person will make mistakes, but in different areas of their life. If someone made a great choice in one area of life, it doesn't mean that they will make great choice in other area of their life. And we need to really forgive that reality that is not fair. It's not fair, and will never will be. And I think that that's understanding that there is no fairness in life. I think that it shows that maturity and adulthood and taking ownership of our lives, no matter if it's fair or not, you do the things necessary to really pursue the right things for you. Number six is part of forgiving yourself, but like now it's forgiving your past self limitations. It's interesting when you look into yourself, and I think that this is one of the biggest things that we need to grow and understand is that the new version of you is different. It has grown, it has more maturity, has more wisdom, has more understanding, more clarity. So we actually see that all the things that we did in the past was not right. But this is our current understanding, current clarity. Our past didn't have that understanding. And that past of you was doing the best that it can at that moment. And we need to forgive that person. Because that person potentially made the right choice to leave wrong environment. That old version of you did the right things to develop, to grow, to improve, to survive. Sometimes, if it starts, when you're going through the massive storm, a tornado, and I think that we need to forgive that person who actually made those mistakes, those past limitations. Number seven, forgiving the part you, forgiving the part that you that changed, forgiving the part of you that changed. It's interesting because when when we change, sometimes we really look into that, oh, that's that old version of me, and sometimes we appreciate that old version of us. And I think that sometimes we need to look into, okay, I became a little bit more colder, I'm more suspicious. Maybe it's interesting thing because sometimes I say that I'm very very kind person and generous, and when someone mistreated me, now I maybe ask like, who deserves my kindness. Now I've become much more selective with your kindness, even though that's sometimes is not the right way of thinking, because I think that rather than thinking how can I help, we can really look into it, who deserves my help. And now we becoming that we give our kindness only based on performance, based on the other person, what they do for us. And I think that's not the right way of looking into kindness. And sometimes we need to forgive for a short period of time of our imbalances, because when we old version of us made mistakes, now we potentially could go to all opposite, and we will need to forgive our mistakes while we recalibrate who we truly are and who we want to be. So it might be that in a period of time when you are in a limbo between your old version of you and new version of you, until it's established, will be mistakes that you did because of that growth, and we need to forgive that part of you that's changing. Number 6 is releasing the identity built around the wound. Interesting that when you're injured, sometimes you can build identity, what you do, behavior, because sometimes when we hurt, we grieve for quite a period of time, and we potentially could build identity, how we live because of that. And we need to release that wounded identity and really move into identity that actually is pursuing the things that they want to pursue: vision, direction, goals, dedication, commitments. Because interesting, because when you go in injury after injury, a lot of times our capacity is way lower that we actually have, because we need to heal, we need to reflect, we have so much energy into healing that we don't have energy to pursue the things. And that moment we'll need to release identity, and we release that wounded identity because we heal. Now we're able to allocate energy to the things that truly matter. Number 9 is accepting irreversibility. What it means that probably the best example is the relationship. So if someone really made a terrible mistake and really injured you, sometimes there will be no relationships. There is nothing to come back to. It's really irreversible. And accepting that is part of really saying that I already forgave, and I forgive, and I'm able to accept that it will never be the same again. That is again shows that you forgive other person, forgive yourself, forgive reality, and are ready to move on. And last one, choosing who you become afterward. And this again, the most important part is that when you sometimes when your old version of you is dying, a new version is establishing, you just do things, behaviors that you don't know why you do them. Just do it. And after a while, when you really forgive, you start to really say, okay, who do I really want to become? And really become intentional about building the new version of you. And it's extremely important to try this. We're not going back to old version, because old version made mistakes. So we going into new version of us that are developed with more maturity and more clarity. The version of us that will pursue the vision will make mistakes. Maybe we'll get injured, but the new version of us will have more chances to achieve great success, and if the problems that we will be able to handle will be bigger. So I hope that you reflect as well, because forgiveness is such a massive topic, and I know that I just scratched the surface of forgiveness. Probably could speak hours of books written about forgiveness and what you're supposed to feel, how you're supposed to think, and everything around it. But I think that because it's such a complex topic, I think it's extremely important to reflect on consistent basis, because I think that every single person make mistakes, and we need to learn how to forgive. And sometimes we need to forgive when you're not injured. You need to forgive yourself that you injured somebody. That's another topic, that's another angle that we need to look at. Forgive yourself for the things that you did. Like sometimes other person already forgave you, but you didn't forgive you because forgave you for the things that you did. So I hope you choose to win, and see you tomorrow.